So yesterday's Vajra statement is especially significant. So please review, what we covered and read again these Vajra statements. Read the commentary. If you have the larger commentary, it's worth absolutely to read that again. How statement 5 is linked together and should be read together with chapter 8, statement 29, 30, and 31st. So now continuing on the next Vajra statement. The next Vajra statement says, all those, hold on. The next Vajra statement is Vajra statement 6. Those with self-arisen realizations also need initiating rituals. So in some ways, right, 6, why Sherab Jungne put it after statement 5? I think, again, it's to balance things out. Because statement 5 is making what you can say a universal statement. A statement that basically says these principles, right? We're not talking about like the cultural aspects of generation stage. So I joked the other day in our Bardo class. I said, it's not the case that, like when you all become Buddhists, you will turn into Asians. Because that's how, right, the Buddhas are kind of Asian looking. The style of clothing, the crowns, the face, everything. I said, we are not primordially Asians. So those are the cultural aspects of generation stage. And so when Kyobpa Rinpoche says, the generation stage is primordially the absolute nature, meaning from the beginning, always has been, and never is it something else. It's that it's the absolute nature, right? Meaning absolutely purified of all obscurations, absolute nature. So he's not talking about the cultural circumstances in which now when we practice generation stage, we make use of the cultural circumstances. So here, statement 5 is a universal statement saying that basically the principles of generation stage is universal. Doesn't matter when, doesn't matter who, doesn't matter how. Right? It is so. It is always like that. And so when we practice generation stage, we're not making something new. We are habituating what already is. Right? Then statement 6 here, to balance things out, Kyobpa Rinpoche also teaches about, as universal as this nature is, on the relative practical level, we also need those tools. And we also need those tools, we also need those skillful means, skillful methods to access, to actualize that absolute nature. And so much so that Kyobpa even says, right, in statement 6, those with self-arisen realizations, even those who already have some realizations that arise, through their own kind of efforts, like almost like in this lifetime, you might feel, mysteriously, you have those realizations. right, you still need the proper methods to be initiated into generation stage in the formal way. Right? In the formal way. This is similar to reading, for example, the first statement of Gongchik, chapter 1, statement 1, and reading it alongside chapter 6, statement 1. This is my own joining of statements. Rinchen Changchup's joining of statement is basically just joining statements from the 7 chapters with statements that is found in the 8th chapter, the miscellaneous, the auxiliary, the supplementary statements. But I find that statement 1 of chapter 6 and statement 1 of chapter 1 to be in the same relationship as here statement 5 and statement 6. Statement 5 is a universal statement, a declaration, so to say, a reminder to us that what we are practicing is just what is naturally, what is innately, what is primordially already like that. But we should not, having understood that, we should not think, oh, then since it's natural, since it's primordial, since it's, always like that, I don't need to do anything special. No. The skillful methods are important. So statement 1 of chapter 6, the chapter on the summary, the chapter on the view, meditation, and conduct. There it says, the teachings that come from a lineage is most profound. So that's the particular. That's the particular to be read together with the universal. The statement 1 of chapter 1 is saying, the Buddha basically taught about how things naturally are. The natural way of how things exist and how things appear. And how things exist is they exist empty of inherent existence. That's how they exist. How they appear, how they play out, how they descend. Bhab, the word in Tibetan bhab is to come down, to descend. How they play out, how they appear, according to karmic causality. Unmistaken karmic causality. So that's a declaration of the universal, right? So, but again, before you get kind of arrogant to say, oh, I understand the universal, now I just meditate on that. No, not so easy. And so statement 1 of chapter 6 says, teachings, practices, things that come down to us from a lineage is most profound. Why? Because what the lineage is referring to is a succession of generations of human beings like you and me have engaged with these practices, have tried and tested, so that what comes down to us are basically things that hundreds, thousands, you can say, because every time we chant lineage prayer, it's one name, right? But it's not just one name. The lineage is more than one name. That one name is like a stand-in for his entire generation of those who hold the lineage. So for every name, it's a whole generation. So collectively, right, the lineage, that means all of these practitioners have engaged these practices so that the ones that are most effective, most appropriate, most connected to our karma as in those teachings, those methods, those practices. Those are the things that have come down to us. And that's why lineage, or at least that's one reason why lineage is so important. As we say, it's has been tested, it has been verified as it works. Now, maybe this or that may not work exactly for you, but we're talking about overall. It has withstood the test of time and it has come down to us. So that's the particular. So likewise here, statement 6 is talking about the particular. So Kyobpa Rinpoche says, even those who have some realization, some realizations that seems to have arisen spontaneously, even that, those people still should rely on these initiation rituals. And so this is looking at the bigger commentary. It says, other people claim that since there is no need for a ritual for entering into the mandala, for those who possess self-arising samadhis that have been awakened by the residue of their previous good karma, just practicing true reality is sufficient. So there were some. The people who make these statements are probably people, within the context of 12th century, are probably the people who meditate a lot. Some of them meditate a lot, so they don't like to even get involved in rituals. They kind of look down on rituals. They say, already I have the realization, why do I still need? So these are probably more actually meditators. Other places, when Jigten Sumgon is making statements, he's responding. Most of the time, he's responding to those who are overly scholarly, over-educated, read too many books. They'll say, well, this book says this, well, that book says that, and this book says this, and that book says that. Then their Dharma practice, they mistake rigidity with like authenticity. As in, they don't see the whole picture, then they grasp onto the specific words said here, there. So they have the appearance of orthodoxy, we can say. They have the appearance of authenticity, but they have become trapped in words. So often, Kyobpa's Vajra statements are said in relation to those types. But every now and then, he also have Vajra statements that you can tell that he is speaking to those who are on the other side of this spectrum, which are those who then go to the other extreme to say, no need to look at the scriptures, no need to look at the Buddha's words. I have them in my heart. They have arisen. I have realized them. No need. Then all the proper empowerment rituals, no need, right? See, the last few Vajra statements, Kyobpa Rinpoche is addressing the other side, such as those who say, oh, no. If your mandala, if your empowerment is based on a mandala with only one deity, doesn't cut it. Won't work. In fact, they even have other debates like, according to this text, for entering the mandala, meaning to be initiated, only 25 people allowed. Or, to enter the mandala, absolutely, you need this, and that, So last few statements, Kyobpa is basically putting those specific instances into a broader context and emphasizing things that he saw to be more important, right? So such as understanding the meaning is more important. Understanding the meaning is when you have received it. But here, it's addressed to those who say, oh, I have realization. I don't need. I'm just going to meditate on, the reality state that I have already realized. So in Rinchen Chanchup guide, he says that, does he have anything? Oh no, he doesn't. Not until 5.9. So nothing in the supplementary. So let's look at Khenpo Kunpal's commentary. Due to the power of training in previous lifetimes and so forth, whatever it might be, there are those who in this lifetime have this self-arisen realizations and the ability, right, to abide in meditative concentration and so forth, that has arisen by its force, seemingly without relying on training and effort. Seemingly. So some of us might say, oh, I naturally, I can just meditate. I can just rest in the natural state. It says yes, Khenpo Kunpal says yes, but this is not actually, seemingly without relying on training. This is basically the power of previous trainings from previous lifetimes. Now, furthermore, then not only that, also, Khenpo Kunpal says, since this might also be caused by obstacles or demons. Yeah, so sometimes, when we feel like things are going really well, it's actually hard to tell. Is it actually going well? Is it actually the result of practice from previous lifetimes or demons? Here called demons. Obstacles or demons, right? Obstacles or demons, whether they are external or whether your own inner demons, like the demon of pride, the demon of arrogance, the demon of very quickly wanting to say, oh, I've achieved this, oh, I've understood that. Since this might be caused by obstacles or demons, such practitioners need to be accepted by a qualified and excellent spiritual guide and correctly receive the initiating rituals from refuge and bodhicitta up through the 3 vows and their respective practices sequentially without mixing them up. Here, without mixing them up, I think you could also translate as without confusing them. Without mixing them up, if we say it that way, then we might fall into the rigidity of like, oh, this is individual liberation, oh, this is bodhisattva, oh, this is a secret mantra, oh, when you practice this you cannot do it this way, oh, when you practice this level you cannot do it this level. Kyobpa doesn't see the 3 as separated like that, right? He sees all 3 to be integrated as one whole approach, one holistic, one single approach. Hence the name of this text, Gongchik. Gongpa is the realization of Buddhas, the intention and the realization of Buddhas. Chikpa, single, unified, the unified approach. Yes, you can practice. You can, Of course, Kyobpa will say it's not going to bring the result you want. You can practice individual liberation vows just purely for your own sake. You can try to practice Mahayana, Bodhisattva practice, completely just for the sake of others, but yourself is a complete mess. Or you could practice Vajrayana and say, I'm doing all these powerful things, I'm doing all this, realization in a single instant, but with no basis, no foundation. no understanding of karmic cause and effect. You run. That's like driving very recklessly. Can you drive? If you drive recklessly, if you drive dangerously, yes, of course you can still drive. But is it dangerous for you? It's dangerous for everyone. When you get on the road, please let me know when that's happening. I'll stay at home. Even stay at home, I will stay in the room that is the furthest away from the road. Your car could like drive into my house. So here, without confusing them. This is because it will free them from obstacles and misunderstandings and will make their qualities increase even more. Increase greatly. Therefore, Jigten Sumgon instructed that both guru and disciple should engage in the stages of the teachings unmistakably. Pay attention to. Now, statement 7. All the deities have the qualities of the marks and signs of a Buddha. Here, marks and signs are technical terms referring to what is called the 32 marks of a great person and the 80 signs as well. Altogether 112. These are said to be physical features found in great beings, specifically found in complete and perfect Buddhas. And there are 32 obvious, hence they are called major marks, and 80 subtle, so sometimes called minor signs. So marks and signs are talking about these 112 physical features. More importantly, these 112 physical features are said to be the result of having purified, having developed 112 different qualities. So they are the external manifestation of the inner qualities of Buddhas, these 112 signs and marks. In various different sources, the Buddha talked about which sign corresponds to which defilement has been purified and which quality has been brought forth. So altogether 112. So here Kyobpa Rinpoche says, if it is a deity, as in, so the word deity can have a lot of meaning. There are worldly deities. He's not talking about them here. There are samsaric, mundane gods, deities, who are very powerful, maybe even have, mental stability. Not maybe, some, definitely many of them have mental stability, mental powers greater than you and I. But nonetheless, these are worldly beings, worldly gods, worldly deities. Here when he says deity, he's talking about idam, right? This is in the context of secret mantra. So in the context of secret mantra, when we use the word deity or the divine ones, we're not talking about mundane divine beings. We're talking about sometimes called the gods of gods. Deva ti deva, the gods of gods. The gods of gods are Buddhas. Raja ti Raja sometimes, meaning the king of kings. Who are the king of kings? Who are the Buddhas? So here the statement is saying, all Buddhas have these qualities, have these marks, have these signs, have these 112 signs and marks. So here, this statement is said in response to other people claim that the deities of mantra, with their different faces and arms, resemble the trainees' needs. So this is an important, subtle point. So this statement primarily was made by Kyobpa in response to people who have this understanding, which this understanding actually is something that you hear often these days. Not just these days, apparently even in Kyobpa's time, but that other view has persisted to the present. If I'm honest, I should say that maybe I even said it that way. And what is that other way? Which is the idea that the deities that appear, especially in secret mantra, because the secret mantra Buddhas, right? They really don't look like the Buddhas that other people know. Right? Like other Buddhists who don't accept secret mantra, they never have Buddhas, that look like the Buddhas that we talk about. Like Vajra Kilaya, Hevajra, Jakasamara, Vajra Varahi. They look really different from the Buddhas that the non-secret mantra traditions recognize. Oh, that's Buddha. Yes, that's Buddha. I mean, they may not say, they may say, Amitabha, that's made up, but the form, at least the form of Amitabha, they'll say, yes, that looks like the Buddha we know, because it looks like Buddha Shakyamuni. So then secret mantra people sometimes will say, oh, the reason why, secret mantra Buddhas appear this way or that way, it's in order to attract the disciples. So angry disciples, in secret mantra, there are angry Buddhas. Desirous disciples, those with a lot of lust, secret mantra have very lustful Buddhas. Lazy disciples, secret mantra have lazy Buddhas. So that these funny looking Buddhas, they appear in response to the confusion of sentient beings. That's the view, Now, of course, this view is probably originates in the idea of the Buddha's compassion and the Buddha's ability to reach out to sentient beings in ways that will attract them. I think, yes, that understanding is definitely part of the picture. But that understanding should not go further than that and into, somehow these forms, these funny forms, relatively funny, if not like scary, right, or disturbing, is something that kind of feeds and reinforces the confusion of beings. So this can be extended to even the way your teachers behave. Don't choose your teachers on the basis of, oh, he's so much like us. Oh, he goes party with us. He goes get drunk with us. Oh my goodness, If you have teachers that do exactly what you do, why do you need teachers? Of course, on another level, you say, oh, I can relate to this person. So, okay, that perspective is the perspective of compassion. Oh yeah, this teacher is so kind, you can say, oh, this Buddha is so kind, right? Not just like Stay in the forest. He's in the world. He can be seen at the cafes and all of that. Okay, reasonable. But there is a point where it's no longer reasonable, if we think, simply he is behaving this way or she is behaving this way in order to connect with us. That's why he's gambling in the casino. That's why, he's doing drugs with us. That's why he's surrounded by girlfriends or boyfriends, who knows, My gosh, if Buddhas are like that, then we don't need Buddhas, we don't need teachers. But we see this, that's the thing. Don't get carried away and think, secret mantra is very special, Buddhas can appear in a way that, resembles me. Then what? Buddhas are there to make you feel good about your afflictive emotions? Very good, very good. Yes, see, you have a lot of lust. Oh, like me. Together we'll go lusting. Oh, you have a lot of anger? Yeah, here, look, I have even more, Together we go create more anger. What's the point? Not like that, Cannot be like that. So here what Kyobpa wants to say is, the Buddhas in secret mantra, when they appear in those kind of funny, strange forms, the form might look strange and funny, but the quality that those forms are representing is exactly the same as the qualities of the more peaceful, the more typical Buddhas. That wrath is not about, oh, you are angry? Here, let's get angry together. That wrath of the wrathful Buddhas it's a special method to convey to you your compassion need to be fierce like that. If you want to be fierce, let your compassion be fierce. Not your anger. Not your impatience. If you're going to be attached, if you're going to be greedy, if you're going to be lustful, understand that, your lust, your greed, your attachment should be attached to magnifying bodhicitta. So that these funny forms is not to reinforce the afflictive emotions. It's just a different way to remind us of the dangers, of the harm of the afflictive emotions, and the necessity to purify, to remove the afflictive emotions. Khenpo Kunpal's commentary. When one meditates on deities, here, idam, there are the principal one and the retinue deities of the mandala. And while they do not waver from the unchanging Dharmakaya, meaning their essence are unchanging, while they do not waver, do not move, do not stray from the unchanging Dharmakaya that has extinguished all faults and perfected all qualities, they do display various forms, peaceful, wrathful, animal-headed, and so forth. 4 hands, 6 hands, multiple legs, multiple heads, multiple eyes. Whereas, in the non-secret mantra, Buddhas are politely dressed, don't reveal too much in secret mantra. Often they are naked. Then their genitals sometimes are exaggerated, It's like, whoa, what is that? What is going on there, All of that. One should visualize that all the deities, all these idams have the qualities of the 112 of what we more conventionally think of as Buddhas. This is furthermore because at the time of the ground, sentient beings have the fundamental nature of Buddhas. Then, on the path, you meditate on the fact that that nature of the white and red elements is the moon and the sun, the vowels and the consonants, and the marks and signs of a Buddha. So this is talking about a more elaborate generation stage practice. First, you meditate on the sun, and then the moon, and then the a, I, I, U, ka, 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 nga, the syllables of the Sanskrit alphabet. That these are all basically the qualities of Buddhas. And the white and red elements, the moon and the sun, is the compassion, skillful means, and wisdom. Therefore, at the time of the fruition, one will attain the Sambhogakaya adorned with all the marks and signs. It is said in the Kalachakra Tantra, the fully supreme essence of the victorious ones, meaning Kalachakra and his entire retinue, which is the most extensive mandala, 722 main and retinue deities. So the fully supreme essence of the victorious ones has 32 marks and 80 excellent signs. They are also complete in our body. Therefore, Mantrayana practitioners should meditate on this level of the Supreme Lord. If one does not understand these facts, if one does not understand what this is talking about, and one practices by visualizing the deities without the marks and signs, for instance, with a desirous motivation, visualizing the male and female deities in sexual union, with aggression, visualizing the other persons getting frightened in their hearts by your anger, or with an ignorant motivation, visualizing the deities as having real animal heads, then this is not different from practicing and meditating on demonesses, mischievous demons, and malicious serpent spirits. Thus, this is a great fault. So here, it is not saying that you don't meditate on, if the particular deity has an animal face, So here, let's go back to this again. If one does not understand the meaning of these funny forms, right? If you don't understand, then if you do that, it says here, and one practices by visualizing the deities without the marks and signs. So what does this mean? Visualizing the deities, visualizing the idam without the marks and the signs. This is not talking about somehow, let's say you practice Vajravarahi. And Vajravarahi, for example, has her particular signs, right? First of all, Vajravarahi is female. So the most obvious things, of course, her the rest of her body looks like the male Buddhas, like Buddha Shakyamuni that we know, but she has other things, and she doesn't have other things. So one of the signs of Buddha Shakyamuni, for example, is said that his male genital is of a particular way, that is discreet, that it is hidden. So does it mean now that I visualize Vajravarahi, I have to visualize this male organ Because it says, if you don't visualize the idam deities with the marks and signs, no, it's not saying that. And then does it mean, now I visualize myself as Vajravarahi, who is female, and I have, very pronounced, breasts. Am I adding more things to a Buddha? No, it's not talking about that. It's not talking about, you substitute. Then then you're meditating on the different idam. Here when it says, if one does not understand these facts and one practices by visualizing the deities without the marks and signs, what it means here is without the meaning of the marks and signs, without understanding those Buddha qualities, without understanding that Buddhas have purified all desirous motivation, and instead meditating on the male and female deities in sexual union, which is found in secret mantra representations. If you were to meditate on that and increase your mental affliction of desirous possessiveness, then you will increase that poison. And if you meditate on yourself as a wrathful deity, and then you imagine all the beings around here, are terrified of you and you have become so powerful. That's the meaning of not meditating with the marks and signs. So when it says to meditate with the marks and signs, basically it's saying to meditate with the understanding that the strange, funny looking, so like animal head, animal is a symbol of ignorance. So when a particular Buddha might have an animal head, or the retinue might have an animal head, it's not talking about, your delusion, your confusion. No, that's okay. In secret mantra, we accept all of this. It's not talking about that. It's still talking about the same thing. Delusions have to be dispelled. Attachment and aversion have to be dispelled. The three poisons have to be dispelled. So if you then don't know how to meditate on secret mantra idams, then it's no different from practicing and meditating on demonesses, mischievous demons, and malicious serpent spirits. And this will turn into a great fault. That's another reason why secret mantra in this tradition has stronger emphasis on finding a good teacher, finding a guide. Don't do it on your own. So many people I see, want to do it on their own. And even superficially looking like they have teachers, but all they're doing is they go to whoever teacher whom they know will give them the answer they want. And avoiding going to this or that teacher for answers they don't want. Then it's not going to work, Then we just here take a little bit, there take a little bit, here take a little bit, there take a little bit, and then it all feels good. It all feels that it's going well. Just as this commentary says, in the last statement, right? Since this might also be caused by obstacles or demons, such practitioners need to be accepted by a qualified and excellent spiritual guide and correctly receive the initiating rituals from refuge and bodhicitta up through the three vows and their respective practices sequentially without any confusion. So please take that to heart. And so now we will end today's class. Again tomorrow, we will chant the white umbrella. I'll talk more about that tomorrow. So here, let's go back to the opening and dedication. But first, let's supplicate Guru Rinpoche to guide us, through. Guru Rinpoche brought the Dharma to Tibet, and of course other teachers too, but he was said to be mainly the one that was able to tame the native spirits of Tibet, so that the Dharma could grow. Shanta Rakshita was another great figure during that time. But Shanta Rakshita could tame the humans, but could not tame the ancient spirits of Tibet. So it said Guru Rinpoche had to come. Shanta Rakshita actually said to the Tibetan king, you have to invite Guru Rinpoche. So this story also means, is talking about we have Shanta Rakshita. We need to have Shanta Rakshita principle in our life as Dharma practitioners, meaning the use of reasoning, the use of logic, the use of study. That's the Shanta Rakshita. Then there is the Guru Rinpoche. That one, our ancient spirits, meaning what? If this body is Tibet, the ancient spirits that control this body are of a very, very deep, ancient superstitions and stubborn attitudes that is not so easy to fix. That we need to rely on the Guru Rinpoche principle. So Guru Rinpoche is not just some person out there. It's a principle of Dharma working on deeper levels to transform and to tame these ancient spirits. Intellectual spirits are not ancient, they are young. Shanta Rakshita can handle that. It can change that. Very teachable. But the deep things, the Guru Rinpoche principle. Guru Rinpoche, Buddha of the 3 times great bliss, source of all siddhis, wrathful subduer of maras, who removes all obstacles. Grant your blessings, we pray. Through them may all obstacles, outer, inner, and secret, be quelled, and may all our aspirations be fulfilled. So this is also interdependence, So the particular historical circumstance of that particular person with that particular history, called Pema Sambhava, called Guru Rinpoche, establish a set of interdependence. So just like the principle of during Choto Druchen, the Buddha established a certain set of interdependence. Although on one level it looks accidental, that he overcome the wrong views with teachings and magical powers on the first 15 days of the new year, actually it's not accidental. It is also related to like how we need to transform and change ourselves right at the beginning. So the new year is the external aspect, the new moment of the mind, the new day, the new moment in each moment is when we need to pacify the 3 poisons. And so then if we remember when Choto Druchen happened, what happened during Choto Druchen, and we act, we practice by linking up to that, then Jigten Sumgon says, your merit increased 360 million. Likewise here, there is the historical circumstance of this person called Pema Sambhava did this and did that, right? In the early history of Dharma in Tibet. Okay, that's on the external level. When we invoke Guru Rinpoche now, we are not really just, that person, but we are tapping into that special set of interdependence that was put into place by historical circumstance to become trans-historical, to transcend the particularities of that historical circumstance. So we need to understand our practices in this way and not give rise to a divisive mind, Sometimes people relate to these idam deities, Vajrayana deities, in a way that kind of says, oh, I like this, I don't like this, I'm going to practice this, I'm not going to practice that, right? But this is all wrong view. If we have that kind of bias, of course, one Buddha, any Buddha who is Buddha has all the qualities that is exactly the same as other Buddhas. But the relative interdependence is different. That's why, That's why it says in secret mantra, there are many, many, many different interdependences that was taught, that was offered. So on the one hand, we don't want to get carried off, become so superstitious. Oh, I got to pray to this, I pray to that, I practice this, that. In the end, you might say, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to meditate on Buddha Shakyamuni. It's getting so complicated, But in the end, they're not different at all. But if we know how to tap into special interdependences. See, right now, in our confused state, we are bumping into some good interdependences and a lot of bad interdependences. We tap into wrong interdependences. Also interdependence, suffering also arises from interdependence. So in our confusion, we are banging around, groping around, knocking around, and boom, end up with negative interdependences. But in Vajrayana, there are these positive interdependences. So now, sublime, precious, venerable, and glorious root and lineage gurus, assembly of idam deities, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas dwelling in the 10 directions, and all assemblies of Viras, Viranis, Yoginis, and Dakinis, please heed me. May the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana and the inherent root of virtue not result in the 8 worldly dharmas, the 4 causes of samsara and the resultant states of hearers and solitary realizers. And may all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, particularly those enemies who hate us, obstruct us who harm those who create obstacles, Maras who mislead, and their Mara retinues have happiness, be separated from suffering, and quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, and precious Bodhi by the power of this vast root of virtue. May we benefit sentient beings with body, speech, and mind. May the afflictive thoughts of attachment, aversion, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind stream. May thoughts of name, fame, gain, respect, and so forth in this life not arise for even a moment. With my mind stream moistened by love, compassion, and bodhicitta, may I come under the care of virtuous spiritual friends, and having become as limitless as space, may I achieve the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. by the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue. May I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Okay. Ta-ta, all of you. See you tomorrow.